So Gigi, I mean, if we are going to talk about your career in its entirety, at this point, I think we might need an extended version of Bola Itu
Yeah.
Life, which might take 3-4 hours.
One episode is never enough.
Yep,
I
because
apologize.
there's a lot that I want to talk about Australia. There's a lot I want to talk about your time in Italy. But I'm afraid we got to pick and choose our battles. And at this point, I want to jump. I want to bypass your time in England, your time in the lower leagues, with your time in Italy, in Australia. I want to bypass all of it and land in Malaysia
Okay,
because it's the beginning of one of the most iconic periods in your career.
definitely.
And I think the story that deserves to be told is how did Kuala Lumpur City land KLGG? Because it's a question
Yeah.
that plays on the minds of most fans in Malaysia. When we talk of European football and how transfers work, it's a bit more direct, right? There is a scouting process. You land via scouts, or you land via videos, or Y Scout or whatever it
Yeah.
is. But there is a process to how players get accrued. But in Malaysia, sometimes we don't even know how clubs
Yeah.
land on players. So I think the stories that KL fans would genuinely appreciate is how did Kuala Lumpur
Yeah.
City land on KLGG?
Okay. Well, first of all, I apologize because the reason we're running out of time is because I talk too much.
No,
So
it's
I
great.
understand-
It's great. We
I
love
understand
that.
that.
We
I
love
understand
that.
that. Sorry,
Trust me
guys.
when I say that sometimes even Premier League footballers don't tell stories as well as you
Oh,
do.
thank you. I appreciate
So,
that a
yeah.
lot. I appreciate that a lot. To be honest, Stanley's version, Stanley, our CEO, his version of this story of how I got here is that I signed for Melbourne Victory to play for the Champions in the Champions League, and he was commentating, or Des Corkill was commentating on a game that I played, and that was the seed that kind of got
Fair
in the
enough.
head.
Okay.
Because they definitely did a lot of Asian Champions League games. I
Mm.
remember that. Yeah.
So that's the short kind of version. The more tumultuous version, from my view, is that originally, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but originally the first club that actually approached me was Selangor. Yeah.
Ooh.
So yeah.
How did they approach you again? So at that point, you were at Melbourne Victory.
Yes, so I was at
Okay.
Melbourne Victory, and Melbourne Victory we had just passed through COVID, and they had offered me an extension. But I had this craving that I wanted to leave Australia. I wanted to go somewhere in Asia, and yeah, I had this obsession growing, and I had played Champions League, and I kept saying to my wife, like, I want to go to Asia, and I promise you this is a fact. I'll call my wife right now and she'll back me. But I've come to Kuala Lumpur before multiple times, and I really love this city prior to playing here.
Yeah.
And I set it as my wallpaper on my phone, and I started like just obsessing about Kuala Lumpur. I wanted to come to Malaysia. I wanted to come near Malaysia. And one day on my LinkedIn account, I get a message from somebody saying the technical director of Selangor wants to speak to you and is interested in signing you. And I get this message, and I think, like, I'm a wizard. I've manifested it. Selangor's in Kuala Lumpur, you know? And we start this conversation, and basically, not to throw anybody under the bus, but he basically says, here's your program, here's your personal terms, we agree, stay fit, and you're part of our plan. And so I start training. I have to send them like data and information of what I'm doing, and I get fit, and 2 or 3 clubs from Australia approach me, and I say, no, sorry, but I've already given my word to someone, I'm going here. And so
Technical director, so it's Michael, right?
Michael,
Yeah.
Michael. Okay,
Michael,
cool.
Fichtenbeiner. And so I start preparing, and it kind of is like going from 1 week to 2 weeks to 3 weeks, and obviously starting to get worried. I'm saying, hey, we're still in contact. I'm still sending the training information. I'm saying, hey, is this still going forward, or what's happened? Because also I don't know the dynamic of Malaysian football, you know?
Yeah.
And I've never had a deal take this long. And he says, oh, sorry, we're just dealing with some paperwork. We're doing some of this, some of that. And then it gets to about a month, and I say, hey, listen, I'm not really understanding what's happening here. You've got to give me an answer. And he basically says that I'm not going to be part of the first team. I'm going to be part of Selangor too.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so I take my foot right off the gas and I say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. That's not what I want. No. And it was maybe an emotional reaction to it. But to be honest, I didn't really have a plan. I had said no to the Australian clubs. I said no to this. And I kind of just hung up the phone and said to my wife, like, I hope I made the right decision, but I don't think that's my worth. At 27 years old, with everything that I've done, I don't think this is my time to compromise. I'm going to wait. And thankfully, that paid off because it was about 2 days later and I got a call from Stanley. Said he had seen me play. He had seen me play in the Champions League. Got a call from Boyan. We spoke. It's Kuala Lumpur City. And I'm thinking, I'm definitely a wizard because this is like literally the name.
This is KL,
This is
KL,
KL, KL. And it was everything that I wanted. And I just had this feeling, and I don't know if you've had it I'm sure you've had it in other versions of your life, but as soon as I hung up that phone, it's like I saw everything.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you have that feeling
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's exactly the phone call I was supposed to have at the time. This is the path.
You visualized it before.
You know,
You're just living it at that particular moment.
exactly.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you have that feeling like you really think like, oh, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and this is exactly what's supposed to happen. And I was ecstatic, and then said yes.
It's a beautiful thing, really. It's beautiful because if you were to judge clubs based on stature, obviously Selangor is the biggest one. You want to win trophies, you think of the bigger club. You want to achieve things, you think of the bigger institution. But it's insane because the trajectory of this career has taken you through a path where that did not work out, but you landed on the one that you wanted, which is to be in KL, Kuala Lumpur. In the smaller institution, you could argue, smaller club, but that's the one that led you to the trophy at the end of the season. That's the one that took you to the final. And that's the one that won you. Am I right in saying your first ever trophy in your professional career?
Yeah, well, I've only won one other one, and that was in Australia FFA Cup.
Okay.
But I wasn't anywhere near as involved. And yeah, like I remember when I said yes, and I just felt this good feeling. My wife was so excited. I said yes, and I won't say who, but somebody involved in the other option sent me a very cruel message and basically said, you're signing for the smaller club, you're signing for less monetarily, you have no plan, the contract's only 1 year, you are about to make the biggest mistake of your life. And I screenshotted it because I was like, I'm gonna remember this little statement. And you know, I'm very grateful that I'm in the middle of a 3-year contract I have next year as well. I got married to my wife because of the stability of the contract. I was able to have a wedding. She's pregnant. We'll have the baby here. I have this life here, this family here of friends. And then on top of that, there's been success on the field. We won the Piala Malaysia. We're in the AFC Cup final. And it just makes me so happy to read that message sometimes and just put a big smile on my face.
You know what they say, Kish? Sometimes ignorance is bliss. Because he was happy to have rejected Selangor for KL. If he had a little bit of information in the background about Malaysian football, he wouldn't be happy in the first place with the decision, I guess. Yeah.
If he
Right?
knew a
Yeah.
lot more about Malaysian football, chances are he might have taken the safer bet.
The safer bet, which is
Which
play
is
for the
Selangor.
second team of Selangor. Yeah.
But he went with the hunch and the instinct.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank
That
you,
has
thank
worked
you.
out
for that.
massively in your favor.
Thank you.
And that is incredible. I mean, obviously, we can spend days talking about last season as a whole, unbeaten at home and all that. But
We had a special segment for it.
yeah,
For the
exactly.
final.
Yeah.
But I want to talk a little bit about just that Malaysia Cup final. Because KL being in that final in itself was major. First year of the Stanley Bernard / Boyan Hodak / new squad project and final of the Malaysia Cup. but you guys were up against the perennial heavyweights, Johor Darul Takzim, the team that everyone expects to win, the team that everyone expects to not just win, but annihilate their opposition in any cup final. But you guys go there, and you guys keep a clean sheet in that final, and you win 2-0. I mean, as far
I
as
remember the
scripts
day
go,
as if it was yesterday. Kish,
exactly.
yeah.
Me and Faiz were in the office. As far as writing football scripts go, you can't write a better script than that.
No.
You really
No.
just can't.
No, that's definitely my favorite memory in football of my whole career, for sure. Without
What was it like in the build up? Say in the build up to the game, on the day, in the morning maybe. What was the build up? If you can remember.
yeah,
it.
yeah. To be honest, because of the nature of my role, and the fact that, as we've all noticed, I talk a lot. I have like me and a few others. We are kind of like the motivators of the change room, and also we try to calm it down if it's too nervous. And I remember, in the build up to the game and in the morning and stuff, I'm just saying constantly to everyone, be happy, be proud of yourself. We've made the final. We're versing a giant. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Did you
Don't
sense
worry.
that they were a little bit tense? Or
Yeah,
what?
and
Okay.
you could feel that there was nerves. That there's not so much joking anymore. There's not so much laughing anymore, and that kind of made me act stupider because I was trying to calm everyone down. So in all the footage before the game, you see me dancing in the change room and like trying to be an idiot, and me and Kenny trying to make everyone laugh.
It's the Neapolitan
Yeah, coming out. But then it got to the warm-up finished, and we get to that moment where you're talking before you go out, and you could just feel laser focus. And I have so much belief in my team, and when I look around and I see that, I really, really believe we can do a good job against anybody. When my team is there and they're there to fight, we are a very hard team to break down.
At one point, maybe in the 90th minute, we were just waiting for the game to finish, right? I think it was like 3 to 4 minutes injury time. I can see a couple of smiles already.
Kenny was definitely smiling.
Kenny was
Kenny
smiling.
was definitely
Kenny was
smiling.
laughing. He wasn't smiling. He was laughing.
Yeah.
And I remember boss Shukwadan was there too. It was probably it was indeed his last ever professional match.
That was an iconic moment
That
as
was
well.
an iconic moment.
Iconic.
What did you feel at that particular moment? You were on the verge of winning a big trophy, one of
Yeah.
the oldest trophies around,
Yeah.
right? It was in history. KL haven't won it for decades.
Yeah.
What was it? What was it like at that particular moment?
Yeah.
That very moment.
So, me and Daniel Ting we were quite close. We were roomies, and we were saying this like joke the whole time in the lead up to the final. They were saying like, listen, they're the best team in the country, so we were watching like videos of Muhammad Ali and stuff like that. We're saying we've got to just act crazy. Like every time we win a header, let's scream, let's yell, let's scare the crap out of them. Let's just look like we love doing all the dirty work. And we were yelling and winning headers. I'm talking about winning header, just putting it out and acting like I scored a hat trick, and going ballistic. And then there's one time where it's like just towards the end, and I look at him and I can't say it because there's profanity, but I just say, I can't believe we did this, man. I can't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. But yeah, man, a really beautiful memory.
Was your family on the stands that night?
Because of lockdown, my family couldn't come, Aussie family, but my wife was there. And straight after I run, give her the jersey, and then honestly, the next like 30 minutes are a blur. I was bawling my eyes out. I was so happy. I was kissing everyone, hugging everyone, so proud of everyone. It's probably snot everywhere.
You think about it this way, Faiz. I mean,
Yeah.
here's a guy that at a very young age did everything he could to play the game. And when you enter football, the dream that you have, the end goal that you picture is nights like that, right? Like winning trophies, battling against the odds, beating the heavyweights, being the underdogs,
Like,
um,
in front of
in front of
80,000 people.
80,000 people,
Right.
packed stadium and all that. You dream of those things. And then you go on this trajectory. You get hit with the harsh realities of football.
Of course, yeah.
And you start to think whether those nights will ever come, right? I don't think when you were, playing in the winter of England in the lower leagues, you ever thought nights like that would arrive. Sitting at home in Australia,
Yeah.
thinking of contracts and the
Yeah.
realities. You don't think that
No.
nights like that would arrive.
Yeah.
But when it finally comes, it feels like the entire career, the entire journey has come a full circle.
Yeah.
Right?
It was beautiful. It was beautiful because like you said, this is a game that everybody in the world wants to play, and every single kid wants to be a footballer, and it's so difficult, and there's so much challenges, and then on top of that there's like politics and corruption and all these things you've got to battle to try to get to the top, and then you've got to try and stay at the top, and you've got to do all these things, and it's ruthless, and the change room is ice cold. And then you have these moments where you feel like your dream has come true, and it's so stupid, but the first thing you think is, I wouldn't change anything. I'll go through all that again if I get to do that again. You think it straight away without a second's hesitation.
The good and the bad,
Yeah.
all together.